What's up everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys another video. This is going to be going over kind of what happened this weekend as far as the tournament series go, like the actual Open. In the Americas is what I'll be covering mostly. APAC I don't know too much about, and EU was kind of a giant shit show, and if you want to hear more about like specifically what happened in EU, you can check out my video from yesterday. Basically EU's top cut, like not just top 64 but top like 8 was full of cheaters, and then people that were like abusing the rope timer. It was EU is definitely an interesting region yesterday, so I'll mostly just be talking about NA today. I'm going to go over like who won the tournament, who came in second, and kind of just talk about the direction of competitive Legends of Runeterra. So before we get into this, I did want to remind you guys that competitive LOR, if that's something you're interested in getting into, I'm not going to tell you guys to like, subscribe, that's what you thought I was going to say. But I'm more going to let you guys know that competitive LOR is something you're interested in getting into. This channel is going to be for you. So you might want to stick around and just know that if you want, Meta Mondays, if you want the meta guys, update on the meta, update on the tournament meta, see what's winning tournament, see what's going to be good going into the weekend, stats, all that type of stuff. This is going to be the #1 place for competitive LOR content. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stick around, comment, all that type of stuff. So let's get into this weekend. So NA, or the America Shard, was won by Card Gamer. Card Gamer is a member of Red Pub Games, LOR player there, and he is a very, very good player. I think a lot of people underrate Card Gamer because he just simply hasn't had a breakout performance yet. He has been pivotal in both of the RPG wins previously of Floppy. I talk a lot with Manesia, and Manesia is on RPG, and he tells me how like Card Gamer helped Floppy literally learn the deck that Floppy won his seasonal tournament with the day of the day 2. So, oh, sorry, if you hear any squeaking, that's Winston in the background playing with his toys. But yeah, so Card Gamer is an insane player, has been an insane player for a long time. Just hasn't had that breakout performance yet, so I'm very glad that he finally had it. Apparently there was some sort of like mental block going on, but now that, he got past that, it's nice to see him not only in the finals and not only just have a good run, but have an insane run where he was able to take down the entire tournament, go 6-0 in day 2. I don't know what his day 1 record was. I think it was 9-1, and then convert that into a day 2 win. He said here, so surreal, going from the ER on Friday into winning the first American Open today, another RPG American Finals. Thanks so much for all RPG. They're all incredible. I couldn't do without the team. Lineup edge was huge, and RPG carried all that work. So for those of you that don't know, Card Gamer was actually, like you said, in the ER the day before the Open. He lives in Florida, and there's some big stomach bug or something going around in Florida that's being really harsh on people, and so his brother actually had it on like Wednesday of last week. He took his brother into the ER and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden Friday, the day before, Card Gamer was sitting there. There's like a picture more on his Twitter where he's like sitting there with an IV dripping out of his arm, where he's like, oh yeah, I'm like sitting here with an IV in my arm. And then he's like, yeah, I guess I day 2'd also, by the way. So it was insane. He wasn't able to put a lot of work into the specific lineup and into the specific seasons of prep because of this. But because of how RPG works, his team, they was able to just share so much detailed information and detailed guides that Card Gamer was able to pick up a deck the day of the tournament, never play it before, but know exactly how it should be played thanks to all of the detailed notes and information given to him by his team. I think this was the Varus Samira deck. I think he said he never played a single game of it before Saturday, which was the day 1 of the Open. And he basically just said that he was able to do all of that and have that success with the deck because of his team and because of the prep work and because of the information shared there, which, is really, really good. And so big shout out to Card Gamer. He's an amazing player, did really well, got first place. And so let's talk about who you had to beat to get there. And then we'll go over his decks because, I like to go over the top 2 players' decks. And sometimes when the top 2 players are on the exact same team, Card Gamer and floppymudkip, very familiar face that most of you know if you follow competitive LOR, they have the exact same lineup, exact same 120 cards. floppymudkip, as you guys know, is the only 2-time Western seasonal champion, and is the only player to ever win back-to-back seasonal champions. And he made it to the finals again in this tournament and was trying to be the first ever 3-peat back-to-back-to-back major champion, as well as, the first ever Open champion. So obviously something's going on here at Red Pubs Gaming. and they are just insane. Follow the top four is Ikato, a very good player. You guys know him, big streamer, good player. And then Eclipsum, who I actually think Eclipsum is Diamond 2. So I think that's pretty cool that a Diamond player is able to make it all the way to top four, and not like like, oh, I'm Diamond at the moment, because like technically Card Gamer is a Diamond player right now because he just hasn't played ranked to get to Masters. But Eclipsum is actually, like said, he peaked Diamond 2. So actually, like an actual Diamond 2 player making it this far in an open is pretty fucking cool. Pretty amazing if you ask me. But yeah, so now that you see that what the finals was Card Gamer versus floppymudkip, familiar faces. You see here when you look at their decks, again, they're on the same team. They prepped together. They prepped this lineup, which was insane. And Card Gamer said the lineup edge was huge. So let's look at that lineup, right? So first off, you have Samira, which is not a deck a lot of people decided to pick up and play. Then you had, and then we'll get to that in a moment, and then Aatrox, Quinn, Vayne, and then we had a Leona, but instead of Leona, Samira, because they're already using their Samira, they play Leona, Diana, Kayle. So all three of these decks are not traditional. These are not like the most popular decks at the moment. I'm not saying nobody played Samira before. Obviously it was played, but most people, if you said like, hey, what's the best Samira deck, they'd probably tell you like either Samira Fizz or Samira Leona. Were really the only two decks that came into conversation on that topic. Not many people not many people would consider Samira Varus as the best Samira deck, but RPG did. They considered it the best. They realized like, hey, this Kayle or this like Leona Noxus deck is pretty good even without Samira. Like obviously Samira makes the mirror matches a little worse, because you don't get challenger on all your guys often, but like, you know, the one Kayle and one Diana, the rest of this deck is the exact same. You know, it does what you need it to do. And in the matchups they wanted to face, they don't really care if they don't have a 2/2 unit anyways, because in their like PNZ control matchups, you know, Kayle is going to be better than that, or an extra, you know, Reckless Trifarian is going to be better than a 2/2 that just going to get Mystic Shotted. And then after that, they have Quinn, Aatrox, Vayne, which is a deck that a lot of people already kind of knew, or the stats said beat Karma Set and the PNZ control decks, but no one really brought it because it kind of felt mopey. To what a lot of people said is it feels just kind of not great. But this build of it obviously was doing well. There's no Concerted Strike, so they put in one Condemn because Concerted Strike got rotated. No single combat or anything. So it's a lot of just seems to be internal testing that kind of gets people to this point. Because I actually did a post-game interview because I cast the finals of the Open. And I did an interview with Card Gamer at the very end, and Floppy, they were both in there. And I asked him, I said, you know, how did you get to this lineup? Because these are three decks that not a lot of people would have even considered to be, like, playable. Like, you usually don't play Leona without Samira. Like, some people, there were some people on this, like, not exactly this version, but some people were like, hey, what if we played Leona without Samira? But again, not this version, with not this idea. With obviously, you see things like the one Sunburst for the mirror match, the Reckless Trifarian for the PNZ matchup, stuff like that. And then, obviously, the Aatrox Vayne, not many people brought this either. And they basically just said that they found out in their testing that the PNZ control piles weren't, like, actually good. And it was a lot of dirtling around. And so they kind of just brought three decks to beat the PNZ control piles, which are the, like, Seraphine Jack control and the Karma Set control. Which is kind of a crazy statement, because I think if you ask most top players, they tell you like, oh yeah, like Karma Set, or they tell you like some Samira deck's the best deck in the game, and then Karma Set's easily like the second best deck in the game. And then a lot of other players will tell you like, yeah, Jack Seraphine is like up there with top 3 best decks. Like that was a very popular lineup, right? That's the lineup that Majin won the tournament 2K with, was the like Jack Seraphine, Samira Fizz, and the Karma Set lineup. Same thing Ikato brought to top 4. You know, same thing these players have been playing, and was kind of like the popular go-to lineup or target lineup. And these players on RPG kind of just said that lineup's like not very good. Like they literally thanked Ikato and Majin and thanked Master Runeterra. They're like, thank you for making that lineup popular, because like it wasn't good. they just straight up said that lineup wasn't good. Thanks for making it popular. You made our open rounds easier for us. Like it was crazy that they had that opinion. They said like Aatrox is like the best deck outside of Seraphine, or sorry, outside of Samira. They're like, yeah, after Samira decks, you basically have this like Quinn, Vayne, Aatrox deck, which is like the best deck after that, like second best deck in the game, which is kind of insane. And then I wish I had the tweet pulled up here, but there was a tweet from from Cup is Mine that like showed their stats, and they had some like 60 something plus games on an 83 or something plus percent win rate. Like, it was just disgusting with Aatrox Vayne deck. So this really shows you what I'm getting at here, is that the direction LOR is going in is that sometimes it's not really great to trust stats, because you kind of don't know really what they tell you. I think a lot of misconceptions is people have this idea of like, hey, you want to play the best decks. I think that's a very good strategy. I think that's a good strategy a lot of top players implement. It's just like, hey, play the best decks. The best decks are strong enough, they will carry you. But the issue is the players don't go out and try and find the best decks themselves. They just do this. They go, okay, I'm going to go to stats. I'm going to open it up here. I'm going to go to masters. I'm going to go to win rate. And they'll be like, okay, like Samira deck's good. Samira deck's good. Obviously, and then you go past that, and then it's like, oh, Jaceheimer. And they're like, Jaceheimer isn't really good. You know, or they go to like play rate matches, and they're going to go to see like Demacia. They'll see the Vayne, Aatrox deck here, and they're like, 52% win rate. That's like not really good. So like, I don't really care. Like, that deck's not good, you know? And it's stuff like that where they say like, yeah, the stats on this deck don't really look good, so the deck's probably not good. Like, you barely have people in here with like 65% win rates, like one top player on an 80% win rate. Like, that's pretty normal. Like, the deck's not doing any impressive things compared to like if you go to Samira Fizz, where you look at the top players and they're all 80% win rates, you know? So like, a lot of top players look at stats, and I think the thing is people realize you need to be playing the best decks is a good strategy, but that doesn't mean you have to play the best statistic deck, if that makes sense. What RPG does is they sit there and they scrim a whole bunch, they take in a whole bunch of information, they try out these decks and build them, you know, differently, approach things from different angles, and then they find what they believe to be the legitimately best decks in the game and the best lineup in the game. And it's kind of hard to argue with them when they are just consistently winning and winning and winning. They had half of all of the top fours in America's seasonals last year. They have Floppy, who went back-to-back seasonal champions. They have this Open, which, again, Floppy almost had the chance to go back-to-back-to-back, but got stopped by his teammate, which is Card Gamer, on the exact same lineup as them. So it's just like, it's really hard to argue with like, oh, well, that deck's actually bad, or like, no, that's not going to work, like, oh, blah, 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 come up with all these excuses, when they are just consistently putting up these results and consistently doing these insane things that just like no other player or team can really like replicate. So it kind of shows you that stats aren't really everything, and you really need a team. And this kind of brings me to my final point, which is the direction I think competitive LOR is going, is I think it's going to be team-based. I've said this like a year ago, basically, before Worlds, before the last Worlds, when I thought Mastering Runeterra was going to be a team. No offense, guys, but I just know that they aren't a team. Like, they don't scrim like these guys scrim. They don't put in the work that this team puts in. You know, they're not like a team in that way. I know that because I have people from like the Mastering Runeterra team asking me to like scrim and join teams and stuff like that. So like, I know it's not exactly what I thought it was. Not saying it's like they're bad players or anything. That's not what I'm getting at. It's just that they don't put in the work of a team that a team puts in, like RPG. And I think that this is the direction that LOR is going. And I think until another team kind of pops up and another team shows up and starts putting the same amount of work in as RPG or more, we're just going to see RPG dominate the America scene. I'm not going to say they're going to literally win every single tournament, but I would not be surprised if they kept up this dominating performance of at least 50% in top 4 type stuff, where it's like, obviously you can't guarantee a win in card games because there is RNG, there is, you know, matchups and stuff like that come into play. But so far we've seen them do it for a year straight. They're going into this year doing the same thing. So if things don't change from the people around RPG, like us players that aren't on RPG, if we don't change something and figure something out and adapt, then they're already ahead of the meta and having this team and working together in this way. We really need to have other teams and other players come together and do the same thing. And I really think that's the direction LOR is going into. I could make a video on what that looks like, but I think that's just a little bit too much to put into this video and would make this video way too long. So if you guys are interested in a video like that where I talk about what it would take to come up with a team and how it takes to like get on this level, let me know down in the comments below. But that's gonna be it for this video. Congratulations again to Card Gamer and floppymudkip on the triple finals appearance. Congratulations to Card Gamer for finally having their breakout tournament so everyone can actually put respect on his name. Also, Card Gamer does coaching, insane coach. This is probably one of the best coaches you can find, if not the like literal best coach you could ever get. Highly recommend you get him for coaching. Yeah, it's gonna be insane. So his Twitter is just cardgamer LOR is his Twitter. I think his Twitch is also like cardgamer LOR. So yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Congratulations to them. I'll see you guys in the next one.